and get the ball rolling and then kind of leave it in their hands. But it is a struggle. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you about is how do you divide up your time with everything you've got going on? You know, how do you know whether you're going to jump into a new project like you're doing with this tiny payment series, or whether you should optimize your current stuff for, you know, every single different social media? You know, each one has a different size image they should have. And should you write more blog posts or put out another podcast? There's so much that you could be doing. But how do you divide up your time personally and decide whether a project is worth pursuing?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I do a ton of stuff, and I like to build things. I like to create new things. And so I've usually got a lot of different stuff. That's one of the. I don't know if this is just wired into me or if it's more that I've learned it over the years. I know I have learned it over the years, but maybe I'm wired that way anyway. But I think that is one of the superpowers that I have, or one of the strengths that I have, that I've realized I can manage a lot of different things more easily than some people. And the way that I've done that, I don't say that to brag at all. Like, that's not like an amazing skill. I have very few genuine skills. Basically, I talk and I write a lot, and I figure out how to find really talented people who can actually do real stuff. But I have kind of two rules that help me. One, first and foremost, is don't do stuff you hate. So if I'm like promoting my companies or something, and I'm like, well, I got to promote it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and all these channels. We got to be on all of them. If I hate being on those channels myself, why would I make myself go and be phony and go like, all right, well, we'll spin up a, account on Instagram and pretend that we like doing it. And like, if it makes me hate it, then it's not going to be effective anyway. And what's the point? Like, why am I building a company anyway? Well, because I want to have a better life and be fulfilled. And if I'm doing a bunch of stuff that I hate, like I'm not going to go to a podcast interview that I'm going to hate, right? I said yes to this interview because I knew I would enjoy it. And that is something that I really try to stick with. I don't ever want to be stuck where I'm sitting in a meeting, and trust me, this has happened to me many, many times. So I've gotten pretty good at making it very, very rare. I don't ever want to be sitting in a meeting where I'm like, I hate this, I wish I wasn't here. Like, or dreading it. Oh my gosh, I have this meeting coming up. It's like ruins my whole day. I wish I didn't have to do that. Or an activity, right? Oh, I got to write this article that I don't want to write, or whatever. I got to log into LinkedIn or Facebook and do a bunch of stuff that I hate doing in there. So I try to not do stuff that I hate and find stuff that is more enjoyable. Like, and I go through phases. Like, Facebook was a huge marketing channel for Praxis early on, and that was primarily because I was very active on there, and I loved being active on there, and it was very valuable to me. That started to shift. It became less and less valuable and more annoying, and I suddenly realized I hate going on Facebook now. I'm just going to stop. I don't care. I don't care if it costs I had maxed out on whatever their limit is on friends on Facebook, and I had really high engagement, but I just started to hate being on there. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I enjoy Twitter right now. I'm sure at some point I'll start to hate Twitter. I don't know. But so I've just that's one is try as much as possible to eliminate things that I hate and focus on things that actually return energy to me, that are a net energy gain. Like, when you're done with them, you feel better than when you started, right? And I always feel that way when I write, by the way. Always. When I'm done writing a blog post or anything, I click publish, I always feel energized and hyped up, and I feel great. Like, so that's why I know I got to keep writing, because I love writing. It makes me feel good. Podcasting is similar most of the time. Sometimes I can get tired. But and then the second rule is just basically the 80-20 rule. And this is huge with business marketing especially. Find a channel that just works really well and double down on that channel more and more and more and more until it stops returning additionally. And until you've tapped out the most effective channel and you've gotten it to maximize its effectiveness, don't even worry about other channels. And I think I've made that mistake of being spread too thin. Okay, we got to be everywhere. We got to have this and a this and a this and a profile on every social media account, and we got to be running ads here, and we got to be doing this. We got to be, Clubhouse is here. It's a new thing. Everybody's on Clubhouse. Well, now I got to start doing Clubhouse meetings in addition to a podcast. And well, now everybody's moved over to TikTok. We got to be on TikTok. I've learned that you got to know yourself and your market, your audience. Like ideally, you have to be a member of your target market because then knowing your market's easy. And if you genuinely live where they live, then just keep living there and doing that. And trying to go and be everywhere at once usually does not pay off. You can expand as you get success in a channel and go beyond that. But like for Praxis, for example, I love using Twitter personally, and I use it all the time. Praxis gets very little traction from Twitter. Their target audience is largely not on Twitter. Facebook still works very well. So the company does a lot of activity on Facebook. I don't. Crash, their customers are more on Twitter than they are on Facebook. Facebook doesn't do very much for Crash, right? But Twitter does. And so just figuring that out, where do you get the maximum returns? And with Crash, we figured out, we tried SEO, driving people to our own site. We tried paid ads on this platform, all these different things. And we figured out that email is actually better than everything, blows them all away, which we never would have expected. It took us 2 years to figure this out. All the same content we've been putting out for years, we just packaged it up as an email, and it's gone crazy. It's gone way, way more traction than it did in any of the other channels. So it's okay, great. We're all in on email. I'm not worried about doing how many Twitter followers we have or any of that stuff. The email is the channel that's working. That's the channel we're going to put our focus in, 80-20 rules. So those are kind of the two things that I do. Where am I going to get the most return, and where am I going to have the most fun and be the least bored,
Yeah. I mentioned the Tiny Payments series that you've been doing, which I've been really enjoying, and you've got spun up a Substack over there where people can follow. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's basically, it seems like there's some genuine interest there, but there's some potential experimentation with maybe some business models you're interested in. What's going on with Tiny Payments, and why are you so interested in them now?
Yeah, man, this is how it always works in my life. If you just keep pursuing things that are interesting,